you accelerate your authority, whatever industry you're in, the moment that you do video. Reels brings in the awareness, but does it actually bring in the sales? And so I think it's really important for anyone who's starting on social media is to understand when you start out, like if you don't know what you're doing, it's gonna start off like this. Then you start niching down, and that's when the money actually is made. But then once you actually start building a brand and you start building up authority and people know who you are, you have the ability to widen out even more because you then become almost like a public figure. Like you're a personal brand at this point, and like anything you kind of touch will probably work because of the brand.
Let's take a business owner. What would you advise them to do right now? They're not big on any platform.
You're not big on any platform. Number one, I would pick the...
Today, I've got a content creator you have probably seen all over the place. I actually ran into her at Grow with Video Live this week. And I said, you got to come to the office and we got to film a podcast. And she just told me, despite making so many videos and being on so many things, that this was her first ever in-person podcast. And so I'm pretty blown away by that. But we have none other than Vanessa Lau. What's up?
Thanks for having me here. Very spontaneous. I'm not used to this, but I'm excited to be here.
You know what's funny is like there are so many creators who are like that. I would say probably the majority, huh?
Yeah.
Like they like to script it out and like be prepared. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, let's just do it and see what happens.
I think especially as a YouTuber too, you like script the video, then you hit record. And so you're kind of used to having things pre-planned as a YouTuber sometimes, but this is cool. I'm digging it.
Cool. Well, it's going to be a great episode.
Yeah.
I know it. So for those who don't know you, can you give them a brief rundown of who you are?
Yeah, well, I have a YouTube channel. We have 500,000 subscribers now. We teach people, creators specifically, how to not just get visible with social media, but also get paid. So we sprinkle in some business strategies in my channel as well. I have a program, the Boss Gram Academy. We kind of teach our creators how to package their knowledge into a one-on-one coaching program and sign clients using social media.
Yeah, and I think that's super applicable for anyone listening here. Most of the people that listen to this podcast are all entrepreneurs. They're all business people, and many are kind of taking the path I took. They started out in business and then they were like, oh, I need to start making content. This is going to help my business. And so I think they have maybe the business side down per se,
Right.
but many of them do want to get into coaching and consulting and other things, but they're trying to figure out how to build their brand. And I think just watching you over the years, you've given so many great tips on, you know, building an Instagram, building your YouTube channel, and all these things. And I want to dive into that later on here in the podcast, but how did you even get to this point? Like, how does one become a content creator, especially a content creator focused on helping content creators?
Right. Yeah. It's funny because I think I'm the opposite of your audience where I didn't have a business when I like created content. I was creating content first and then I figured out the business stuff later.
Right.
So my background is I literally like fresh out of school, university, or we call it college, I guess, in the States. I'm from Canada, by the way. And, you know, I got my dream job at working in corporate. I was a marketing manager at a big beauty conglomerate. And then 1.5 or 2 years into it, I was like, man, this isn't really what I want to do. I kind of want to be a YouTuber. And actually, I've always wanted to do YouTube for like years and years and years, but I just kind of pushed it off.
Like even in like high school?
Yeah, even
like
in
that?
high school when like Michelle Phan and like all these beauty YouTubers were popping off. It was like OG YouTubers, you know? And I was like, oh, I really want to do that. But I was always waiting for the perfect moment. And 10 years had passed and like that perfect moment never really came. And so then I actually was working in corporate and I was working with influencers specifically because I was doing some PR and I was like, whoa, they're making a killing doing content creation. This is insane. And then my boyfriend also was an entrepreneur as well. And he had an agency and all that. And I kind of saw his lifestyle compared to mine. Like every time I wanted to go on vacation, I kind of had to like really map it out. Sometimes it would get denied. And like I was working my tail off. But anyways, long story short, I decided to quit and I quit cold turkey. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do YouTube. But then shortly after doing a few videos, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not making any money. Like
where's the brand deals?
Yeah, like where's the brand deals at? Like why am I getting paid nothing? And so I decided to be a coffee barista. I was like, you know what? I could take another corporate job. But then when I looked at the job description side by side, I'm like, this is going to be the same shit, different pile.
Yeah.
And so, you know what? Let me just take a part-time job. I worked as a coffee barista, made minimum wage for about 5 months, worked graveyard shift so that I was working from 8 a.m. or actually 12 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Whoa.
And then during the day I could do content.
Why is there even a coffee barista from 12 to 8?
I made the mistake of choosing a 24/7 coffee shop to work at.
How many people were getting coffee?
You would be surprised. You would be surprised. There's a lot of like graveyard regulars. A lot of people who like drive trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. They like
That's
start
crazy.
pretty late. And so.
Yeah. Side note, I said this on stage today. I'm on a 30-day coffee fast, which is very difficult. I love coffee, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy that there's people that love it more than me drinking it at 2 a.m.
Well, the benefit was like I worked at the coffee shop, so I got free coffee. So that kind of helped with like staying up doing content. But anyways, yeah, so I was a coffee barista for a while and then just chipping away at my YouTube channel. I was kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall. And, you know, this is just kind of for anyone who's not sure of what niche they want to get into. I didn't have a niche when I started. I just started creating a bunch of videos on various topics until one topic just kind of took off. And that's when I doubled down on that one topic. And then I grew from 0 to 100,000 subscribers in that year. Just by doubling down on what was working.
So like in that early on stage, you know, you're not making any money. You're working minimum wage, graveyard.
Yeah.
And, you know, you sleep probably a little bit and then you just start making random videos.
Yep.
Like what kind of videos were you making that didn't work?
Oh, man. Well, actually, I did have a method to my madness. Like I wasn't just doing anything and everything. I kind of said, you know what, if I can't find my niche, maybe I can just at least think of the audience, like the person that I really want to attract. And I think that, you know, what people have to realize is as a person, you have various interests. And so I was like, you know what, when I was stuck in the 9 to 5, I really couldn't find any content creators that was talking about this stuff for millennials specifically that were fresh out of college. Like, you know, you work your tail off in college, you study so hard, you get your dream job, and then you realize it's not the right thing for you, or you just really start questioning yourself. Like you start going through kind of like a quarter life crisis. So I asked myself like, okay, what kind of content would these people want to see? So then I was like, okay, well, maybe it would be career tips, you know, or maybe it would be financing tips. Because a lot of these people, they're fresh out of school, they're living on their own for the first time. Maybe they want some budgeting tips. So I did some videos about that. Then I did some videos about social media. I did some videos about my story of like why I quit the 9 to 5. That video did really well. And so I just really experimented. I even did like productivity tips at one point, just because I just thought about that person and I listed down all their interests and what they would like. And then I just started creating videos from that. Now, the videos that didn't work out for me, well, it's not that it didn't work out. I feel like anything can work. At the same time, there were some videos that I just didn't enjoy doing as much.
Right.
So for instance, like the finance videos, I was like, well, I know a few things, but not that much. And, you know, I can't see myself doing this for the rest of the longevity of my channel. So I kind of axed that really quickly. So I just through process of elimination, because I think that like looking back, I think what I did right was I spent those like 3 to 4 months, like those first 12 videos experimenting and just collecting data. And that kind of helped me find my niche eventually.
Yeah. It's funny because I think Gary Vee talked about it during the conference. He said, don't make content just because you see that niche is making money or you see somebody else is doing that. It's like, you're like, yeah, finance. Obviously, people love finance on YouTube because the CPM is so high. And they're like, oh yeah, you know, finance is where it's at. But if you don't like it, it ain't going to work, right? Yep. Like if you talk about what you like doing, you will always be happy regardless of
and you'll always have ideas.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I'm in the finance niche and, you know, I see all my other, you know, buddies who are very big, much bigger than me. And, you know, they all taken the same path to get big. Like they started in a niche, like even, you know, Graham Stephan, him and I are business partners now. He started as a real estate guy. Meet Kevin, real estate guy. Andre was like a stock guy. And all three of them realized there's only one path to going really big, and it's talking about the news. And so now all of their content is pretty much the news. What's the market doing? You know, what did Biden say? What is the Fed doing now? Like, and for me, I personally just don't have a desire to research that crap. I don't have time to talk about the news every day. Like I would rather just be more niche and talk about like what I just do on a daily basis because it's easy. I'm just like, oh yeah, we bought this house, we started this, we did that. And like, I'll just share my experiences and, you know, is it going to get me, you know, millions of subscribers doing that? Probably not. You know, the news is probably the best way to do it, but I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah. Honestly, I just think that life becomes so much easier when you just double down on your strengths instead of trying to improve your weaknesses. Because I think someone told me this and it really helped me understand this concept is like, let's say you're like a D- at something, like that's your weakness, D-. As much as as hard as you try to improve that, at most you'll probably get to like a B or a C plus. But if you're already like an A at something and you really improve that, you could be like an A plus 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 really easily. And that's where the money's at. And that's where the opportunities are. And that's where happiness is too, when you really focus on your strengths.
Yeah, no, 100%. Entrepreneurs, if you want to grow your business, there is no better investment than your own personal brand. The smartest thing I ever did was start creating content and investing into my brand. Ever since then, we've been able to triple our business. I've been able to raise more money than ever to continue buying more real estate. And it's all because I create content just like this. Now, a lot of people have asked me, Ryan, how am I supposed to do it? I don't know where to start. I don't know who's going to edit it. I don't know even what kind of setup or camera or anything to do. Well, here's the thing. We can help you with all of that at Pineda Media. We have a podcast checklist that you can actually get for free at pinedamedia.com that's going to go over everything you need on starting a podcast. But to make matters even better, we'll actually edit your podcast for you. We'll repurpose it into short form clips like you see on my Instagram and my TikTok so that people will start seeing those clips and watching your podcast and in turn being customers or investors in your business. So if you want the one-stop solution where you can get everything done for you, plus get the education you need to grow your personal brand, then you need to go to pinedamedia.com and book a free call with our team. You can also go get that free podcast checklist and that training program absolutely free by just going there. So go check it out. So, you did a bunch of great things. You tested stuff and then you said one video popped off. What happened?
Oh my gosh, it was an Instagram video. And honestly, at the time when I was filming that video, I was like, this is so random. Like usually I post a lot of videos about like mindset, career tips, some budgeting tips here and there. I'm like, this is the most random video that I'm going to post. But I think that this person, millennials, the person I'm trying to attract, like they're on social media, like they're going to want some tips. And I was like, you know what, let me just share a few. And it just like got a lot more views than any of my other videos within the first 24 hours. And I was like, okay, this is cool. All right. But then I didn't really catch on to it. So later on, my next 3 videos, I think, were still my regular videos. And I was like, looking at the views, I'm like, hey, like these are doing average, but the other one's really, really taking off. So what do I do? And I asked myself like, okay, well, what if I just double down on more Instagram videos? And that's what I did. Those videos also did well. And so I think looking back at like my journey, now that I have that hindsight like ability, I think that it's the same concept of like let's say you walk down the street and someone gives you like the best sushi sample and you're like, oh my God, this was bomb. Let me go to the restaurant and check out for more sushi. You go to the restaurant, there's no other sushi there. There's like hamburgers, fries, steak, a burrito, a taco, and you're like, okay, well, I'm out. That's the same concept as a YouTube channel, right? Like someone got really hooked from this one video. They go to your channel. They don't see anything else related to the topic that hooked them in the first place. What are they going to do? They're going to bounce. Yep. And so that's exactly why, even though I had that like video really take off for a whole like 3 weeks, it didn't really do anything for my channel. Like it didn't grow my subscriber rate because none of my other videos were related to that topic that really popped off until I started doing more Instagram videos. And then this is where my like career or like the business idea kind of came, because my email list went from like, I don't know, a few 50 people to 20,000 people, like literally within 2 weeks.
Wow.
With everyone wanting Instagram stuff. And I was like, holy crap, what do I do here? And then that's when I started like offering consulting services or like one-on-one coaching. And, I did that for 4 months. I was completely booked out. I think I made like, I don't know, within 3 months, I made 30 grand. I was making like 10K per month the moment that I released these one-on-one
You're like,
services.
I'm done being a barista.
Yeah, exactly. I quit my barista job. I was like, I don't need this anymore. I'm good. But then I entered another problem where I was just booked out.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, what do I do now? And so that's when I packaged everything into a course, something that would be less one-to-one, but more one-to-many. And then when I launched my program, I made 200K. And I was like, like, this is way more I made, way more than I made at my coffee barista job, but even way more than I made at my corporate job. I was making, what, 65K a year at my corporate job? Yeah. And I was like, holy crap. And then from there, after I launched my course and I like worked with a few people, like I worked with maybe like 100 to 200 people for like 8 weeks, I then again took that data, took that feedback, and I was like, hey, what am I going to do with this program that I created? what worked, what didn't work, who did I like working with, all that. Because at the time, it was just a generic Instagram program.
Yep.
And like there was all these different people, like freelancers, graphic designers, e-commerce people, just a bunch of people, coaches. And I asked myself like, okay, well, which clients got the best results from this program? Okay, well, I really liked working with the coaches specifically. They got the best results and they were the clients that I liked working with the most. So then I niched down even more for my course. And I went from being a general Instagram course to then being like an Instagram course for coaches who want to sign clients.
Super niche.
Yeah, super, super niche. And then I put it on evergreen, meaning that instead of just launching the program live, I just basically created a sales funnel around it, automated the sales process, started looking into, creating webinars, all that stuff. And then I went from I scaled it up to 200K a month.
Crazy.
So I went from a 200K launch just one time to then making 200K consistently once I scaled it up and built a team around it as well.
And that's with really no paid traffic or anything. That's
No.
pretty all organic.
No, it was all organic. And then I just chipped away at the YouTube channel and my Instagram as well.
Well, what's crazy is, you're doing this stuff for Instagram. Is the course still just Instagram?
No, we've added bonuses. So we have like a bonus bag where we have TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook groups. So it's kind of like an a la carte thing.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why we like teaching Instagram, because I feel like with Instagram, it's an all-in-one platform. And it's not necessarily because I think that Instagram is the best platform. I think it's the easiest platform for someone to get a quick win on it.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, let's say on a YouTube channel, great, I'm getting all these views. It's awesome. People are commenting, but I can't really DM them.
Right.
I can't really build that relationship further. I still have to send them somewhere else. And the same with TikTok. It's getting there.
Trash.
Yeah, it's getting there, but it's not the same. Whereas on Instagram, I could
people just
DM
love
them.
chatting.
Yeah, I've even sold clients through Instagram by hopping on a call with them. You could do a FaceTime call with someone.
I've done that.
Exactly. And so you could literally attract people with reels, nurture them, with your carousel post or whatever else, DM them, send them whatever. And so Instagram, that's why we focus on it, because it's just the easiest platform for someone to get started with.
Yeah. What's interesting is I've had this conversation with other YouTubers. I think I was with Graham and Financial Jeremy. They've all been on this podcast, by the way. So we'll link to their episodes down below. But, we asked the question of what's more valuable, like 1 million YouTube or 1 million Instagram? And it was an interesting debate because we all knew 1 million TikToks not as valuable as those two. And so it was okay, which one would you rather have? And so Graham and Jeremy being YouTube heavier, well, it's YouTube, obviously. And I was I don't know, because I have right around 220,000 Instagram, 220,000 YouTube. I see both sides pretty equally. And as a businessman, if that's what we're talking, I think I sell more on Instagram because of the DM function.
Right.
Being able to communicate with people and talk to them and get them in your ecosystem is way better versus YouTube. I make a video and I hope they call me.
Yeah.
But you don't really have any communication on YouTube.
Yeah. I think you get more visibility with your followers on Instagram, but I think YouTube is better just to get evergreen traffic. And that traffic doesn't even need to follow you. So I don't know. That's a really good debate. I don't know. I think I would rather.
What would you pick?
For sales, I think I might pick Instagram. Because at the same time, with YouTube, great, you could have a lot of subscribers. That's awesome. But you could also have not that many subscribers, but a lot of views on certain videos. And as long as that video is linked to your product and service, you could still make a lot of good money on that video.
What I think is YouTube helps you build an actual brand where people know you. People are I know Vanessa. I've seen her YouTube videos. I know Ryan because I've seen his YouTube. But if you're only Instagram, to me, I don't think you get as many people who recognize you or something.
Yes,
right?
I do agree with that. I think that I would rather be a really popular YouTuber.
Yeah.
But in terms of a sales standpoint, I would rather have those eyeballs on Instagram so I can nurture them and DM them and all that. But, I really do think that you accelerate your authority in whatever niche that you're in or with whatever industry you're in the moment that you do video.
Right.
you will like someone, even if you're not an authority, like you'll be perceived more as an authority the moment that you get on video.
Yeah.
And I think YouTube is like the best video platform out there.
If you are trying to grow your real estate investing business, then you need to join us at Wealthy Investor. If you have no idea what Wealthy Investor is, it is our coaching program and community. We have helped thousands of students worldwide grow their business. Now, it doesn't matter if you're just getting started and you're trying to get that first deal. We can help you do that. If you're trying to scale your business and go from a few deals a year to a few deals a month, or even 7 figures a year, we can help you do that too. In fact, last year alone, we had over 30 students do over $1 million in revenue. And I'd love for you to be the next one. So it's pretty simple. If you're trying to grow your business and wholesale more homes or flip more homes or buy more rental properties, then you need to go to wealthyinvestor.com and book a free call with our team. It's super simple. We'll go on a strategy call with you and figure out how we can help you grow according to your needs. So all you got to do is go to wealthyinvestor.com, book the free call with the team, and we'll see you there.
For those listening, like my strategy is, we were actually talking about this yesterday. So, make a ton of reels and just kind of like let that be the way that people become aware of me, right? Because if you watch me for 30 seconds and you're like, who's this guy with the hair? You'd be like, okay, like he was cool. Like I might follow him. And then maybe the algorithm shows you another, you see me say another thing. You're like, okay, this guy's kind of smart. Like I'll follow him, right? And then they become aware of, my YouTube channel. Like, oh, he's also got a YouTube, right? Whether it's from Instagram or TikTok. So then they start watching long form. Then they say, oh, he's got a podcast too. Then they'll go watch an hour. And what I have seen is when I go speak at these events, like the one we're at, the people who've never bought anything from me, they're aware of me. Mm-hmm. They're like, hey, like I see your reels.
Well, even when I met you, I was like, oh, I see you all the time on my TikTok reel.
Yeah. And so even whether you know my name or not, like you're like, yeah, I see that I'm aware of who you are. Like I can recognize you in a crowd. But when I go to my own events where people have paid or my students, they're like, hey, Ryan, I really love that podcast you did with Vanessa. Like that one really helped. And it tells me that the people who actually watch the long form are the people who buy the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense because they're paying you attention.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we always kind of measure success off of getting paid dollars, but the fact that people pay you attention is also something worth being proud about and also worth like its weight in gold.
Yeah.
Because they could be doing anything.
100%. And I just think it's this cycle because it's like, okay, I want to take them from short form to like, medium 10-minute to 15-minute form to super long form podcast, hour plus. And then it's like, okay, but those hour plus videos get chopped up and make the short form, which then it just is like this cycle. And
this guy's just a content factory.
Yeah.
Take notes from him.
It's just a cycle. And then I'm like, okay, maybe the original podcast doesn't get that many views, right? Because not that many people are willing to watch an hour, right? Mm-hmm. But then all of a sudden, all the clips we chop up get millions of views. And it's just like, yeah, doing the podcast is definitely worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like obviously nowadays everyone's talking about short form. And that's definitely like where a lot of the impressions are going. At the same time, I think that long form is still king in terms of like production. So like, for instance, for me, every week I'll do like a YouTube video that is long. And then I don't have a podcast anymore, but I really focus on my email newsletter series where every week I drop like a really lengthy like newsletter, like a letter to my audience about like, hey, here's what's going on. Here are my tips, whatever. And then from there, content creation becomes easy because I've done these 2 massive pieces of content. Now it's just about like chopping it up, like you said, into these other forms. And that is also something that you could technically outsource too.
Yeah. How big is your email list now?
200,000 people on my email list now.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So if you had to break it down, your main platforms would be Instagram, YouTube, and email list, essentially.
Yeah, right now.
Where do you think the revenue comes from?
I think the revenue comes from, I think for me, it's actually opposite because I don't do a lot of reels yet or TikTok yet. That's kind of something that I really want to tap into more is short form. Mm-hmm. I've been doing long form for so long. But for me, it's actually YouTube that brings the awareness.
Yep.
And then it's Instagram that actually brings the sales.
You're closing them on Instagram.
Yeah, we close them on Instagram. Like we used to also kind of do a lot of DM work as well. But I also talk more about my program in my Instagram stories or I do
You're willing
lives
to sell more.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's just a closer knit vibe to it. Whereas my YouTube, I really optimize a lot of my videos for search. Right. So I get a lot of awareness from YouTube, and then they start kind of really going into my ecosystem within Instagram, and they start seeing the behind the scenes. They then sign up for my newsletter where I really I don't just give tips. Like I share hey, I went this is what really happens behind the camera. Like this is what happened. These are my lessons. And so they really love that, or at least my audience does. And then they DM me hey, I'd love to join your program.
That's awesome. So let's jump into some lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see why they call you the Instagram expert. What should we be doing on Instagram today?
Yeah, well, I think that
it's always changing.
It is always changing, but I think it's really important to know what features do what function. Because I think, for instance, everyone's focusing so much on Reels, which is great. But like you said, Reels brings in the awareness, but does it actually bring in the sales? And so I think it's really important for anyone who's starting on social media is to understand what platforms do what for your business. So for instance, Reels, okay, great. That's more for traffic. So what am I going to measure? I'm going to measure how much reach I got on those Reels. Okay, great. Now let's say for my carousel posts, they might not get as much traffic anymore because Reels is pretty much taking over. But within those 10 carousel slides, I'm able to talk a lot about a certain topic in depth, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm really trying to nurture someone. And I might have a call to action that's go to my link in bio. Well, what am I going to track? Well, maybe I'm not going to track the reach that I got in that because that's not what my goal was. My intention was to get as many clicks as possible on a certain landing page. Then what am I going to look at? I'm going to look at my link taps. And so I think it's really important to actually understand what platform serves what function. Or let's say with live streams, that I think that's a huge underutilized
I don't
feature.
do it at all.
Yeah, it's great. When you do live stream, everyone gets a notification about it, and you can even invite your audience onto the live stream and actually build that connection and start nurturing. And so I think that there's a lot of features within Instagram that are underutilized. And I think that it's kind of a mistake to only just focus and put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. So you're saying live streams are good, Reels are great, but don't just only do Reels.
Yeah, because you've got just a few seconds to talk about your offer or whatever else. And so I personally see Reels more of an awareness piece. At the same time, this is another tip that I'm actually going to be implementing soon is I realize I'm going to stop dancing because I've been dancing and I've been trying to follow those trends and stuff. And I actually did that rigorously. And I got 10K followers in 10 days just by following the trends, doing the dances and all that. But guess what? Didn't lead to any sales.
Yeah.
It literally did not lead to any sales. And so I was like, okay. And the funny thing is that the moment I stopped doing those dancing videos, because I was getting burnt out, I lost all those 10K followers. I started losing more followers than I was gaining.
Really?
Yeah, because that's the thing. When
we're here to see this girl dancing. What's the deal?
Yeah. Or it's just, that's just what happened. And it really taught me that lesson of whoa, these dancing videos are cool and they're cute and they're fun and they're entertaining. But as a business owner, are they actually getting the sales that you want? And so one thing that I want to really pivot into is doing more actual original content for Reels, because maybe then my perception would change. Maybe those would actually bring in more sales versus just the awareness piece. But I was following the wrong strategy. So
yeah. With our Reels, so most of them are repurposed because that's the easiest. But once a day I will film, or not once a day, once a month I will film for 6 hours straight. And just direct to camera. I'll change my outfit. I'll change the background. But for 6 hours straight, I'll film probably 50 Reels. Wow. And so we use those the last a month and a half, whatever. And yeah, direct to camera works way better than repurposed every time. And, with those, I'll just do normal content ones. I'll do ones with a call to action. But yeah, I think they're well worth the time.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what we're looking into as well is we have been just chopping things up from our YouTube channel, but it just doesn't feel the same because you can tell that it's chopped off from somewhere depending on how it's edited. And so I also agree is kind of a tip, but something that I'm actually implementing soon. So I'm just literally sharing what I'll be working on is not just creating original content, but creating the content that's for that specific feature or platform instead of just focusing on repurposing. And so, yeah, following in your footsteps, Ryan. You're doing everything right. I should be interviewing you.
No. I want to hear about just your journey seeing the platforms change. Because I personally haven't really been around that. Like I jumped in the scene 2 years ago. So it was like TikTok was just getting started and I watched it. And I don't like watching social media, but I started watching TikTok. I was like, holy crap, like this is addictive. Like I would much rather watch a TikTok than a YouTube. Just personally. And so I was like, I think there's going to be like something big with this.
You know what's funny? I actually rather search for things on TikTok than on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. So
I've never done that.
Oh my gosh, the SEO on TikTok is fantastic.
Wow.
I love it. So for instance, like there's the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case, right now, timing that we're filming this. And I was like, I want to learn more about what's going on, but I don't want to spend an hour watching a YouTube video. So let me just go on TikTok. I searched like Johnny Depp v. Amber Heard or whatever. So many videos, 15 seconds. I already know what's going on. Or even like I was shopping at Alo Yoga, like this like apparel place or whatever. And I was like, these are really cute pants that I really want to buy. But like, how will it look on me versus the model?
No way.
Again, I don't want to look out on YouTube because I don't want to sift through someone's haul. I just want to know exactly in 15 seconds, like, how's this going to look? I go on TikTok. I literally search up the pants that I want to buy. There are all these mini clips of people showing just the pants because you only got 15, 30 seconds.
Right.
And I was like, great. Buying it because it looks great. It looks fantastic on this girl.
Yeah.
And so I actually have found myself buying more stuff because of TikTok than YouTube. And I find myself searching for more stuff on TikTok than on YouTube.
It never even occurred to me to search SEO on TikTok.
Oh, you should try. I was like kind of surprised. I was like, whoa, this is really good.
Well, you know what's crazy? And actually, the last time I searched was 2 years ago when I first started, because I remember I had a couple viral real estate videos. And so I was like, I wonder what happens if I search real estate. And sure enough, mine was like one of the top ones. I was like, no wonder like I'm gaining so many followers so fast. Like I remember I gained 100,000 followers in like the first like month and a half. And I was like, this is nuts. Like, how are these people finding me? And so I remember doing that, but it never occurred to me to do it again because, the big thing with YouTube has always been SEO, right? Like Google is going to push them to YouTube videos. And, you want to learn how to do something, you search it on YouTube. But if you're telling me that trend is going to shift towards TikTok, because it sucks on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It does, not going to lie. They're getting better though. So funny enough with Instagram, like obviously back then, like all we knew were hashtags. Instagram's actually moving away from that. And you should try it. If you actually search something up, like so let's say you search social media on Instagram, a bunch of posts will pop up, right? But I actually looked down the rabbit hole of these posts and none of like a portion of this post didn't even have the social media hashtag. They had social media written in the caption.
Okay.
And so it's like, okay, well, Instagram's finally reading the dang caption. Or it won't even be anywhere in the post, but the content itself is about social media. So I feel like Instagram's getting smarter in terms of SEO, likely because they realize like, hey, we're really falling behind here. And so they're improving it, but it's still not the best.
Right. That's crazy. So for somebody who's getting started, I mean, what's your game plan for, let's take a business owner. What would you advise them to do right now? They're not big on any platform.
Ooh, if you're not big on any platform, I think that number one, I would pick the platform that's going to give you the best bang for buck. And if you have the capacity to, like, there's a reason why a lot of people, like, I personally think that YouTube is my favorite platform, in my opinion, but I'm also biased because that's how I got started.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's the platform that requires the most sweat equity.
So much work.
It's a lot. It's like, it's a production. It is a production. And so if you can, I would start with anything that's more long form content because the rest, like I said, just becomes easier if you wanted to expand. It's almost like doing the hard stuff first so that your life gets easier afterwards. And so I would start there. And also I think that, how I got started was like the algorithm told me what to monetize. The algorithm told me what was doing well, and it really helped me double down. And that's kind of where I saw that skyrocket growth. And so if someone has the capacity to, I would say start with YouTube.
Okay. And then maybe just chop it up.
Yeah.
Or
chop it up, chop it up. Or even if it's not chopping it up into like editing and all that, even just like scripting a video, maybe in a video, you've got like 3 to 5 tips. And like each of those tips could be something else too.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I mean by like, if you put the sweat equity up front, then your life does become a bit easier afterwards versus if you were trying to do it the other way around. Now, if you're someone who doesn't have the capacity to do YouTube, the next platform that I would do is probably Instagram. If it's for sales, I think TikTok is probably going to get to that place where you could sell and it would work. But if I'm like short on time and I really want to choose one platform just to get sales, not to get famous, I would probably pick Instagram.
Yeah,
for now.
I think Instagram's the best for sales. TikTok, I've got 1 million on TikTok now, and it's like I don't even try to sell on there because I'm just like, yeah, you know what? It's just not even worth it because we can't really DM the right way. And
and like you said, I think TikTok is a really great awareness play, but I think it just goes as far as that for some people. Like, for instance, like there's so many people that are just on the For You page. And I think that's why TikTok is so great for creators, because you get eyeballs that you would have never gotten on other platforms. But then once you actually want to sell something or you really want to nurture that relationship, like you don't know if you're ever going to see them again. Like I follow a bunch of people on TikTok and I sometimes don't ever see their stuff ever again if I'm on the For You page versus if you check the following page, but who's like, most people aren't on there.
Yeah.
And so unless that person like consistently gets a video that's going viral, then I'll see them on the For You page. I don't know. You're more on TikTok than I am. Like, do you see a similar issue?
Honestly, I don't really watch that much content. So it's hard for me to say. Like, I should watch and like not even watch it from entertainment, but like
for the algorithm. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to be like, okay, like tell me like what's going on? Like what kind of content maybe could I make that's, kind of trending, not dancing, but just to understand. But I don't know. I've personally never even liked social media growing up. I didn't want to be a YouTuber. When I hear you say that or guys like Mr. Beast, like all I've ever wanted to do is be a YouTuber. I'm like, that's crazy. All I ever wanted to do was play baseball. And, once that didn't go, I just wanted to do business. But I realized social media was so important, as time went on. And so I did it and I enjoy it now. Don't get me wrong. But consuming it is something I don't want to do because it's just, I also think it's just like, man, I get in the rabbit hole and like waste hours.
Yeah. What I like to do is I actually don't consume. Funny enough, I don't like saying the word competitors, but people who do similar content to me, I don't watch their stuff.
Yeah.
Like I purposely don't watch their stuff because I want to protect my creativity. And I also don't want to go into like the comparison rabbit hole that a lot of people do.
That too. And that's part of the reason why I don't want to watch.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to watch, but I'll still like go on their profile and then I'll rank their videos from most popular to least popular to see like what topics are they winning in. And then I'll ask myself, okay, well, their video or their content piece about this topic really popped off. What's my take on this topic? And then I'll still get content ideas from my quote unquote competitors.
Right.
I just won't watch their whole video because number one, I don't want to accidentally I don't want it to kind of cloud my originality and also like protect your mental health. Like I don't want to feel bad about my stuff.
Yeah. Man, I suck.
Yeah. Like, oh, damn, she's doing that. Like, oh, crap. What am I doing?
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that. What about comments and stuff? How do you deal with responding to comments or trolls or negativity?
Yeah, I mean, I try to respond to my comments within the first 24 to 48 hours of my YouTube videos and on Instagram too, because that's important to me. Another thing, like on Instagram, this is a strategy that I like to do is I really leverage that pinned comment feature.
Okay.
So what I like to do is like, I'll pick like the top 3 most insightful comments that were on my post and I'll pin them. And then I'll even message them, like I'll comment back on their comment. I'll say, like, congratulations, you won the pin award. Like I'll actually make it a thing because it encourages the other people who are seeing that post like, hey, if I actually add some value to this piece of content, or if I actually like, say something and comment, Vanessa might pin me. Yeah. And so that's increased the amount of comments that I get.
Know that.
Yeah, you're just incentivizing your audience to actually comment. I do similar things on my YouTube channel where we'll pick like the top 3 to 5 comments and then we'll put them in the video at the end. And we'll actually shout out these people who've left that comment to really incentivize people to actually engage in the video. Because with both of the platforms, Instagram and YouTube, the first 24 to 48 hours, the more engagement that you get on that post, there's a higher chance it's going to pick up because the YouTube algorithm or Instagram algorithm is going to say, oh, this seems like something that people would like to see.
Yeah.
And so there's that piece, but also like, how any algorithm works is like the more you interact with someone's content, the more you'll see their content.
Right.
And so I want to make sure that I'm on their feed consistently. And so that's why I encourage people to comment, and I try to comment back so they know I'm not just ghosting them.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So that's my take on comments. And so with my YouTube channel, I know we're switching between platforms because I just do both. But with my YouTube channel, we actually experienced a time where I used to get like, I don't know, upwards to like 200 to 300 comments, 400, 500 comments for each video. And then last year, my channel plateaued. Like, the traction just wasn't there anymore. My comments dwindled down to like 30 comments, 50 comments per video.
How did that happen?
Honestly, I think it's just because I was just doing the same thing over and over again. Like, one thing that, like, especially if you've been in the game for quite a long time, like maybe a few years, at some point you need to kind of reinvent yourself. And that's kind of where we talk about, like, there's a change in algorithm, change in consumer preferences, change in just your audience as well. And so for me, what got me successful was also what kind of got me comfortable. And, you know, earlier on when you saw me, you were like, oh, I was watching your videos. You're just doing the whole vlog style type of thing. That's a new thing that I've been trying.
Okay.
Because when I started my channel, I was just doing sit down videos. Like, I would sit on my ass, hit record, and just do the tips.
Right.
The environment wouldn't change.
Yep.
Like, the tips were fire, but like nothing would really change. And it helped me a lot in the beginning stages. But after like 2 years of doing the same type of video, I just saw the retention kind of go lower. The comments got lower. It just wasn't as engaging anymore.
Right.
And so that's when I told myself, look, I don't really want to change the type of content that I'm doing because I like doing this content. So let's change the delivery style. Let's change, you know, just how we're packaging the content. Let's change how we're interacting with our audience. And that's when I went from doing sit down videos to now having like my camera all over my house and sharing my tips and making the videos more dynamic. And on top of that, midway in the video, I'll literally like ask for people to comment. Like, hey, if you liked this tip, or if you want to blow up your channel next year, comment the word like success in the comment section.
Right.
Just so that I know that you watched up until this point. Because, you know, if you're committed to your business, like, you would apply these things and you would comment. So I would actually say that. And then boom, my comments went from like 30, 50 to now back to normal, 200, 300 comments per video.
Wow.
Just by asking people like, hey, if you got to this point in the video, I want to make sure you've been listening. So comment this keyword or this phrase. Make it easy for them.
I remember when I first started YouTube, you know, I would watch Graham and stuff. He'd be like, yeah, smash the like button and like all these things. And I remember kind of doing it early on in my videos, but now I look back, I'm like, I don't think I've asked anyone to do any kind of engagement in like a year.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'll do a call to action at the end. Like, hey, if you like this, you know, go work with us at Future Flipper. But I won't ever do like any actual YouTube engagement. So I think I need to re-implement that. And same deal. Like, I still just do talking heads, sitting videos. And when I saw your dynamic video, I thought it was interesting because I have been seeing a lot of creators go with that more raw style. And I think it's obviously like just a change of pace that's probably making it work better.
Yeah. And you know what I also changed is, you know, I actually downsized my equipment. So I told you, like, yeah, all I use now is literally like my little tripod, my vlogging camera, and like a $50 microphone. But my old setup was like around $2,000, $3,000. I actually hired someone to build out this like rolling studio because I don't have anything like this. Like, I just work from home, right?
Yep.
And so I actually paid someone about like $2,000 to build this like rolling studio. It would roll around my house. It was kind of on a dolly. It had legs and I could roll it around. I had like a 4K monitor that was like attached to it, plus my microphone, plus like a big lighting setup that was mobile. So I could literally roll it around my house. And so I did that, but then it also kind of didn't create that flexibility that I wanted either. Like, I was still basically doing talking head. And it took me a while to like turn it on and figure it out. And it was just really complex. And so that's kind of one thing that I've learned too in my journey of creating social media, but also in business, is that complexity is the enemy of execution. Like, I would spend more time trying to figure out this freaking rolling studio than actually hitting record and like just filming.
Yeah.
And so I actually downsized my equipment significantly, and my audience loved it because number one, was more approachable.
Yeah.
And number two, it was just more like organic and raw versus like this video production and all that. Like, that works for some people. And I think that everyone can have their different style. But for me and my audience specifically, they actually really loved that decision I made to be more human, because it showed them like, hey, if you can do videos with just 3 pieces of equipment, I can too. And I think also like even let's say on TikTok and Reels, what we've learned from short form video is that yes, like highly produced videos can do well, but it's crazy that like a video on your iPhone can go absolutely viral.
Yeah.
And like everyday people are literally getting famous without the fancy equipment. And so I think I was really trying to emulate that too on my YouTube channel now.
Yeah, it makes me think of the ocean spray guy
Mm-hmm.
just riding down his skateboard and stuff. But yeah, to speak on the rawness, it's interesting because my reels that have gotten some of the best engagement have been me in a different environment, right? And then I'm starting to see a lot of my friends, like Hormozy is, doing this a lot where his YouTube videos are just him in a closet. Like,
he's like a unicorn. Like,
yeah. And that's not going to
yeah.
work for everyone because his, content is so good. Like just not his like production, but what he's saying. But I just see that. And then I see like my buddy Bradley, who's out here. He's just always smoking a cigar like outside of his office. Like it's not anything. It's not a studio, but people are like, yeah, dude, I like that. Like this guy's just not trying to do too much, but he's giving some fire. It's like I'm with him at this place just talking.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to consider that. And it actually too made me think about what Patrick Bet-David said. So, he was at the event 2 days ago and I got a chance to talk to him backstage. And he basically said, hey, Ryan, I think you need to take a break from content. And I was like, really? Why? And he's like, we did this at Valuetainment every time, at 500,000 subs, at 1 million, at 1.5. And he's like, I think you need to take a break and recharge and like just reanalyze. And, when you said reinvent yourself, I was like, that's kind of pretty much what Patrick said. Like you have to, like you hit these plateaus where you're like, all right, it's time to do something different.
You know what I love about that? Because I'm funny enough, like in the time that we're filming this, like I'm actually on a content break right now. I haven't posted a video in like 2 months.
Really?
And I've been beating myself up over it because I'm not doing it intentionally. Like I'm actually burnt out. Yeah. And so what I love about that is like he actually does it intentionally. So there's no guilt behind it.
Right.
It's like I'm taking a break for a purpose. And I'll be back.
That's what you've been doing.
Yeah, I've been taking a break on purpose as well, but I've been beating myself up about it. Like every day that passes that I'm not posting a video or content, I start feeling guilty, I start feeling bad, and I'm like, oh. And that's just like extra anxiety and stress that I just don't need in my life. But I'm self-imposing it on myself. It's the same thing with like growing a business and like trying to get to the next revenue height. Like one time I was really stressed out about like, oh my God, I need to keep building this thing. I need to keep growing. And like, oh my gosh, if I'm not growing, I'm settling and all that stuff. And literally I was in a mastermind with like a bunch of these really successful like entrepreneurs, like 10x my revenue. And they're like, where is this pressure coming from? And I was like, shit, it's just coming from me. Like they're like, is it your team that's kind of wanting you to grow more? Or is it your family? Is it a mentor that you have? Like, where is this pressure coming from? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's coming from me. And so I just love that Patrick Bet-David takes these like consistent breaks every so often, every few years to re-strategize, recharge without necessarily feeling guilty about it because there's an intention behind it. So I just love that.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to take an actual break because so for me, like I don't spend that much time doing it. Like I film on Wednesday and I film on Monday and that's it.
Okay, but here's the thing. You've got like a lot of employees. You've got a team, which is amazing. And I'm so proud of you. And it's just like insane, the empire that you've built. But I also think that like a lot of like, even for me, like I don't have really a content team. Like I just have my video editor. And so it all still comes from me.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's also one thing that I would love your audience to take away from as well is like when you're looking at the Titans, because I used to look at the Titans too, like Gary Vee, Sean Cannell from Think Media, everyone. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're putting out like 3 to 6 reels a day, or they're putting out like 2 videos a week. And, as a solopreneur, I'm like, okay, I got to do that too to be successful. Well, I was like, I thought I could match that. That was the problem. Like, I didn't think like I can't match that because in my mind at the time, like it just kind of went past my head that they even had a team.
Yeah.
So then I started to like compete with that. And when I burnt out, I started feeling bad about myself because I'm like, oh, I don't have what it takes to be successful because I'm not posting 6 reels a day or I'm not posting 2 videos a week. And then I really take a step back and I'm like, wait, I'm just one person.
Yeah.
So of course I can't necessarily do that right now. So what can I do to the best of my ability right now, get to where I need to be to make some money, and then start outsourcing.
So, like, what's your team look like now?
Ooh, man. Okay. So we've got, I think, about like 9 people on our team. A few of them are employees. A few of them are contractors. Most of my team, not going to lie, are more in customer fulfillment because we have so many clients.
Oh, it's
And
more
so-
on the education side.
Yeah, it's more on the education side. Like we have more customer support people than we do like marketing, social media people.
What about like for content creations? It's still just you?
Oh, man. Okay. It's just me, my video editor. I recently hired a social media manager. And then I recently hired a content writer just to help me like kind of
Ideas.
ideas, like what my content writer, the idea of what they're going to
Research
do.
all those other ideas that
Exactly.
are working.
Or like go back and watch my old content. Cause I think for me, I just spent so many years building up my YouTube channel, creating all these long form pieces of content, but I don't have time to go back like into the archive to see like which one was a fire piece of content. So I'm trying to have someone help me with that.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is like, I mentioned about how I just recently hired a social media manager. I've had social media managers in the past. But the funny thing is that within my team, the highest, like the position that has the highest turnover is social media.
Really?
For me, yeah. And
You're
I
just
think,
all burning out.
well, I think it's a me problem.
You think you're just not a good manager?
I could be not a good manager. Like anyone in like customer fulfillment, all that, like I'm pretty hands off on that. Like
Yeah.
I trust my team completely. But when you're a content creator, you're just like so into your content. And
Mhm.
it's really hard to find someone that like does things exactly
You're
the
gonna
way
take
you do it.
ownership the way you
Exactly. But I read this quote that kind of really shifted my perspective of like leadership and all of that. And that is a lot of times we want something done perfectly, right? And we'll really nag on that 20% that's not done by someone. But the truth is that 20% is likely like your own preference on how to do things or like your own taste on how to do things.
Mhm.
And so you really want to step back as a leader and ask yourself like, okay, this 80% that they've done, did they do it to the best of their ability? And did they do the job, period?
Mhm.
And recognizing like, hey, that 20% that's missing, that's likely just your preference and your own taste. And so if it's already good enough, why not just ship it out?
Right.
And just instead of you like hyper focusing on that 20% that isn't done. And so I think that comes back to like not micromanaging basically.
Right. Right. Well, sometimes we got to just let go and
Yeah. Well, how do you do it? Because you've got like,
yeah,
you're like the king of just letting go, I feel.
Yeah, I just am like, dude, if I hire the right people, I trust that they're going to do the right thing and, you know, it's going to be great. And so, you know, initially when you're building it out, you have to be very hands-on and
Yeah.
train them. But I'm like, okay, like we've done this so many times now. It shouldn't require me to go through these edits again to, you know, look at the title or the thumbnail. Like I don't do any titles, thumbnails or anything anymore. I'm just like, I trust that they're going to do it right. And, you know, I still will watch the final video.
Yeah.
But I don't watch my reels or anything. Like, cause there's so many posted. I'm just like, I don't know what's getting posted. And it was funny. Like I was looking at my reels today because I was about to go on stage to talk about them. I start going through them. I'm like, dang, this one's got 1 point something million. Like, what is this one about? And it was about my hair. It was,
I saw that actually.
Yeah.
You got more views about your hair than like a piece of content that actually had like tips on how to make money.
I know. I was just like, why? And I'm like, all right, we're doubling down. We're making more hair videos.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Well, you know what was surprising to me was when Gary Vee, were you there when Gary Vee spoke at the conference?
Mhm. Yep.
And he actually said, like, I think he said this. He's like, I write my own captions still.
Really?
Yeah, he said that. He said he writes his own captions still. I was like, damn, I respect that. And so I think that just goes to show like there are some things that if you really love doing it, like
Yeah.
if you really love writing or you really, really love video editing, like outsource everything else. Like
Yeah.
if that's really
Just do
what
what you
you
love.
love doing.
Yep.
And so I think that's kind of one thing that I've learned as well. Because I used to see people like, let's say like you, be like, oh my God, they're so hands off on everything. And,
Yep.
you know, I got to be like that too. But then I realized like, wait, there's actually some aspects in my business that I genuinely enjoy doing. Because I remember once I like outsourced everything and then I had nothing to do.
That's
and
how.
then I didn't like my business anymore. I was like, this is boring. I kind of want to get in.
You know what happens to me is I do that and then I'm like, yeah, I have nothing to do. I guess I'm going to start a new business and do it again.
Yeah,
and
you've
so
got like so many businesses.
so that's kind of literally what happens where I'm like, okay, well, I don't really have a need to come to the office today. I guess I'll like right now I'm filming a new course because it was that reason. I was like,
I want to be like you when I grow up.
Yeah. By the way, if you're watching this, I think the new course might be out, but I'm doing a brand new one for the Wealthy Way. It's going to be completely free on how to build a business. So that was a common question I always got. I was like, okay, Ryan, like, how do I actually build a business? Like funnels and marketing and building a sales team, and how do you hire people? And I'm like, man, I've addressed this in multiple podcasts and videos, but I'm just going to like put it all in a course.
So like, I got a question for you, actually. Let me interview you.
All right.
So
what
like, you are someone who is like the anti-niche almost, because you talk about a bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Is your strategy basically like you've got this umbrella messaging of like, how to make money, and then that's kind of how it all fits together? Like, I would just love to know how you manage all these call to actions, all these like different products, companies that you've got under your personal brand.
Yeah. So two things. One is, as we scale, it definitely won't be able to just be me always being the main source of promoting them. And I realize that, as you look at like these Shark Tank guys, for instance, right? Like they can't promote every company they own, right? And so I see myself going that way where it's like, yeah, I can't promote them all. So how do we build funnels and things that don't involve me? So like one way we did it was with Future Flipper. I actually just created a Future Flipper Instagram, a Future Flipper YouTube channel. We did this 2 months ago. It's doing really good. The YouTube's got like 5,000 subs now. The IG blew up. It's got 30,000. And I was like, man, this thing grew quick just by redoing the same thing. But what I did with that channel was I made it not me. So it's all my students and coaches making content, kind of like what Think Media did.
Right.
And so that will be a great way to generate leads without me using the same tactics, right? But I think as it relates to my overall personal brand, I was talking about this on stage today. Like initially it was, hey, I want to be the most known real estate investor. Yep. And that's going to allow me to get deals, sell education, do all these things. And that's the goal, right? And once I felt like I accomplished that goal,
how many years did it take you to accomplish that goal?
I felt like I was pretty well known, at some point like last year, when I'm like, I've got 1 million on TikTok. Like people know
casually
me.
Just 1 million guys, casually.
I was like, I've got that. I've got the YouTube. Like I'm literally everywhere. The podcast has like 1,500 reviews now. I'm like, I think I hit that goal. So what's next? And these other things like truly do like make me like want to pursue them. If this was just a real estate podcast, we wouldn't just be here talking about Instagram.
Well, not gonna lie, when you invited me, I was like, I don't know shit about real estate, dude.
Exactly. So, I just love talking about all this stuff.
Right.
And so in the end, I do think I just don't really have a plan with like, my plan is talk about things I like. That's the plan. And so I like talking about social media because I do it.
Yeah.
And so that's the plan. And like, if it just doesn't work as well as a more strategic plan where it's like, hey, Ryan, let's go into this box. Okay. Like, let's look at your top 5 videos. Okay. Your top 5 videos are side hustles and, the news and talking about Biden. I'd be like, no way, dude. I ain't doing that every week. Like, I just don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just to give some like, more perspectives in the room too. Like for me, I actually found my success. Like I'm kind of in that transition period that you went through last year of like, okay, I'm known for this now. What's next? What's next?
Yep.
But just for your audience to know, like my background is I actually have spent the last 3 years selling just one thing and like really doubling down on this one thing.
Yeah.
And I went from 0 to 7 million just in the last 3 years of just doubling down. And I think that it's not a mistake, but I do personally feel like you can get farther faster when you focus.
Yeah.
And then once you focus and you start getting that social proof and you start getting that capital, you start getting confident, like you just start getting what you need from it, even personally, like, once you like emotionally also have gotten everything you need out of it, then you move on to other things. And I think we also talked about that in your panel where like, you even forgot that you like started off with that one thing.
Yep.
And I think that I don't like saying mistake, but I just think that a lot of people who are trying out social media or trying out business, they compare themselves to people like you or Gary Vee or like people who are doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Without
a lot of things is the mistake.
Yeah.
100%. Like I think that wasn't my intention early on. It just it so happened that that's what I just want to do at this point. Like Gary Vee still loves wine, but he don't want to talk about wine all day anymore,
Yeah.
right? He doesn't need to.
Yeah.
And he's found a way to make his wine business sell without him having to talk about it.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like that's kind of something that I teach my own clients as well is like when you're starting out, like it's almost like an hourglass like framework where like when you start out, like if you don't know what you're doing, you likely will be like me starting out because I literally started from scratch of just like throwing spaghetti at the wall. So you will be a little bit broad because naturally you are trying to figure out what your North Star is, especially if you don't know it off the bat. And so it's going to start off like this, but then eventually you start like getting the hang of things. You start kind of self-actualizing. You realize like what you like, what you don't like. The algorithm also tells you some certain things. You get feedback. That's really important. Then you start niching down. And that's when the money actually is made. Because when you sell a product, an offer, you actually need to have a niche. Like you need to know who this ideal client is. What is their pain point? You can't sell to everyone or else no one's going to buy.
Yep.
That's when you start making a lot of money. You could stay in this like cinch period for maybe like 2-3 years, doesn't matter. But then once you actually start building a brand and you start building up, you know, authority and people know who you are, you then kind of widen out even more, or you have the ability to widen out even more because you then become almost like a public figure. Like you're a personal brand at this point, and like anything you kind of touch will probably work because of the brand.
100%.
And so I think that's just a journey that people kind of need to recognize is like you can't just start as a public figure because you're not one yet.
Yeah.
And
what are you known for?
Yeah. And even like at the conference, like Alex Hormozi did his talk and he kind of said like, prove yourself first in this one thing, like do stuff first. And then once you've done something, then you can actually use it as leverage and talk about it and like start doing other things as well. Like you wouldn't have invited me on this podcast if I didn't have like the social proof that I have. But that was all thanks to me really focusing and doing that one thing. Like I would not have the opportunities I have today if I didn't focus
100%.
on serving one type of client, selling one offer, and using one channel. For me, it was YouTube, and then actually eventually expanding out.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it was flipping houses. I did that for years, right? Only flip houses. And then eventually, you know, I started to realize, man, everyone, you know, all this house flipping stuff is great. Like I'm making money, but people want to learn how to do it. People want tax. People want this. And so I started creating these other businesses that, you know, the people who were watching my stuff were interested in.
You like obviously have all these businesses now, but was that always the vision?
No.
Or did you find that like just like opportunities just kept popping up and then you were reactive to those opportunities, or like how did you?
I'm just an opportunist. That's all I am. Like I could care less about taxes. Like I didn't want to be an accountant. You know, same thing with social media. It was like, it was an opportunity I saw. I'm like, dude, this is a really like important thing that people are going to need. And then like NFTs, for the last year, I've just been watching what NFTs have been doing. And the more I learn, the more I'm like, what Gary said on stage, I'm like, holy crap. Like people don't realize this is the future.
Yeah.
It will be everyday use years from now. And I'm like, man, and I'm just thinking through all the ways real estate is going to be impacted because that's what I understand the most. I'm like, dude, real estate's going to change forever.
And you want to be there when it starts becoming mass adopted. Like you want to be that guy who's like, I'm ready.
Well,
I'm
no,
here.
I want to pioneer it.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be what Gary did, you know, where Gary for 10 years ago was like, guys, make videos. It's important.
Got it.
And then he's like, you know, flashing back to it. But he was doing it early on. And he's like, guys, get on TikTok, get on whatever. And, you know, I'm here like, guys, digital real estate, it's going to blow everything out of the water. And it's not even close. And I have complete conviction in that. And I'm either going to look really stupid or I'm going to be right. And when that happens, then it's just a wrap. Like, I really believe that like that opportunity will beat everything else I have combined.
Dang, I'm excited for you, man. That's awesome.
I'm trying. So no, it's been great having you on the show. It's been great getting to know you.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I was like, number one, I've never been on a live show before, so this is fun. Like this is really fun. I kind of want to do more of these. I like it more than just a Zoom call.
Way easier.
Yeah. Number two, I was a bit nervous because you literally just like went up to me like, hey, let's do a podcast together. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm down. Like when? You're like, tomorrow. And I was like, And then the next thing I said was like, what do you want to talk about? You're like, I don't know. I was like, oh my God, this is like the trifecta of anxiety for me. But this was amazing. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's my sales pitch, by the way, to all our podcast guests. Hey, you want to do it? There's no agenda. Let's go. And just be the expert that you are.
Whatever it is you want to do this day and age, you can hyper learn that subject in 60 days. The information is out there. You put everything you can over 60 days, you're going to have a very good understanding of whatever it is you're trying to do.